Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to Radio Ramadan. Sorry, welcome to ramadanradio.org on 077 87.9 FM. You are listening to The Mindset Show with your host, coach and trainer of NLP and hypnosis, Mubashar Latif, on Ramadan Radio, London 87 Ramadan Radio, London 87.9 FM, online, ramadanradio.org, and streaming online, live on Facebook and YouTube, and etc. and so forth. Please text in with your questions on WhatsApp to 077 614 60614. Again, thank you so much for joining. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, the most kind. And we bear witness that there is none other worthy of worship other than Allah. And we bear witness that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final messenger of Allah. And we make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers. Thank you so much once again for listening and joining on the Mindset Show with your host, Mubashar Latif. Now, last week we spoke about what is Ramadan, right? And we spoke about, or rather it was on Saturday. So we spoke about what is Ramadan and the Ramadan mindset and why we suddenly, all of a sudden, like that on and off switch, we turn it on, we turn it off. Right, and all of a sudden, for this 1 month, we're waking up for iftar, for sehri, sorry. We're fasting the whole day, 16 hours in the UK, roughly. No food, no water, no base desires, etc., etc. And as a result, it allows us to spiritually connect further, spiritually be that person and go that much further. Right? Because it allows us then to rely on a source that is greater than quenching our thirst with some water, on a source of energy which is greater than quenching our thirst, fulfilling our hunger, overcoming our hunger with food, right? So we go beyond that and we look for some energy source beyond that, right? And we have that energy source throughout the whole year. It's not that it's just only in that month, but we have that energy source and it's more highlighted, it's more raised to our awareness. So how does this tie in with today's topic? We are talking today, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, of how we feel, right? And when we feel like doing something and when we don't feel like doing something, when we feel happy and when we feel sad, when we feel angry, when we feel frustrated, when we feel guilty or ashamed or, joyful, right? You feel that love, you feel that connection. We're talking today about emotions. We're talking about what are emotions, what are feelings, right? And we're looking at a few different things. And we're not just looking at what are emotions and what are feelings, because there is a difference, right, with emotions and feelings. And more so, we're going to look at how they impact, not just emotionally impact or mentally impact, but we're going to go beyond that and we're going to look at the physical impact, the physical impact of our emotions, the physical impact of holding on. And we're going to look at a few more things in this show. So it's going to be a very, very amazing show, inshallah, a very insightful show. And you're going to get a lot of benefit and you're going to understand about your emotions, right? So what are emotions? And what is the difference between emotions and feelings? Emotions are the response from the neurotransmitters in your brain when you have that internal dialogue, right? That internal voices that come up initially. And that can be triggered, those thoughts can be triggered through something you see, something you hear, something you taste, or physical contact, and so forth. So, for example, a handshake with a brother, right? You will feel that happiness. When you taste that food, that samosa or that biryani or whatever at iftar, you will feel so good. When you hear the adhan, you will feel amazed and relieved, right? At iftar that you can open your fast. When you smell that food, when you taste that food, right? And all of these we receive all these triggers are through our five senses, right? So our five senses of these different senses can trigger off any thoughts and feelings. And as a result, they can trigger off that inner voice and that inner dialogue. And once we have that, then when we smell that food, for example, when we taste that food at iftar, right, and the relief we feel and the joy and the happiness we feel, it's because in our brain, in our mind, our neurotransmitters have told us, made that connection that this is a good thing now. And now we need to feel happy. And then it sends signals down through the nerves, so forth, to cut a long story short. And then it goes to, and we express that happiness, right? Because then we felt that emotion inside and we express that emotion inside and we bring up the thoughts of that emotion and we bring up the feelings of that emotion inside, right? And then as a result, we respond with our actions, with what we say, what we do, etc., etc. As a result, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, when you have that emotion, when you feel that happiness, that relief, or you have that anger or that frustration, then we have a different response, right? So with each emotion, we have a different response. So what is the feeling? So the emotion is internal, right? Or what's happening inside the biological, right? And the feeling is the outward expression that we have of that emotion. Because you could be feeling an emotion, right? Some people can be so happy, for example, they've passed their driving test or they've passed a test or they've got so good news, right? And they're just in a state of, they just can't believe it. They're in a state of overwhelm and shock, but in such a way that you just look at them, they're just normal. Or they are the opposite and they're just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's just like, they'll just be walking, they might be a bit silent, they might just be sitting there in despair as if something has happened, but they're just sitting there pondering and thinking, well, I didn't prepare enough for my exams, but yet I've passed, I've got XYZ grade, right? Or in your career or at work or whatever that good news, and you feel it in that way, right? So that is your emotion inside that you feel so overwhelmed with happiness and you're so self-contained, right? Some people have that in that way. But on the other hand, when you express it really happily, eyes light up, your face lights up, your cheeks are up high, right? Your face is glowing, you're happy. Why are you happy? Because that you have now had some good news and you feel it all over and it shows in your body language, right? So in a nutshell, this is the difference between emotions and with feelings. Emotions are internal, the biological, what's happening, and the feelings are the external, or what's happening on the outside, of how you express those emotions, right? And that's the difference. As I just check to see if there's any messages, and I don't feel overwhelmed, I don't feel confused, I don't feel lost, right? Because I'm self-contained, I've managed my emotions, right? Whereas some people might be just checking something, checking a message or something from the studio or so forth whilst they're on the show and so forth, and they might sort of lose their focus, right? They might get overwhelmed and so forth. Again, it's managing your emotions. So in a nutshell, this is what our emotions are, right? And we have emotions and we have a response for anything and everything we do. Sometimes we feel good, sometimes we feel bad, sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel angry and frustrated, sometimes we feel calm and relaxed. Right? And these are all natural emotions. Doesn't matter if you're fasting, doesn't matter if you're spiritual, doesn't matter if you're religious, and so forth or not. These are all natural emotions and feelings that everyone expresses feelings, right? But what happens when we have the happy emotions? So you've had good news of some exams, or you passed your driving test, or you're going to get married, or you're going to be a parent, or any other good news, or you've got a promotion, or XYZ, etc., etc. Whatever good news you have, whatever time you are happy, you feel so good. You feel really happy and relieved, right? And what happens? You stay in that state of happiness and you're lit up and your body language is showing that you're happy. And when you're happy, you stay in that for a certain amount of time, and then you get through with normal life and so forth, etc., etc. But what happens, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, what happens when you have some sadness, right? So when you have some sadness, what happens then? You feel that sadness. You feel that despair. You've had some bad news, right? Might be bad health, might be loss of job, right? Might be, you've heard some news of someone else, of a relationship breakup, or whatever, right? Or anything that's bad, anything that's negative, anything that's sad, right? You have such news and you feel that, and it shows in your body language. What is the difference between each one? And we know the difference in the body language between each one, because when you're happy, you're glowing, you're standing up, right? Your voice might be louder, you might be talking faster, you're talking clearer, right? You're more expressive. What about when you're sad? You're down, you're talking slowly, you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to be with anyone, you push everyone out, right? And you just want to be yourself. You'll be crying, you might be curled up, sitting down, or even on the floor, or even on your bed, or the sofa, or wherever. You're curled up and you don't want to be around anyone, right? But it is impossible. It is impossible to do your body language of happiness when you've had some bad news. You're not going to be jumping with joy and saying, I'm so excited. I've had some bad news. XYZ, my health is XYZ, or such and such. There's a bereavement. Yes, God forbid, right? That's just not going to happen. And on the other hand, you're not going to be curled up. You're not going to be crying and pushing everyone out and saying, I'm so happy. My life is the best. I've just passed my test, or I passed my exams, and I feel totally great. But everyone stay away from me. It doesn't happen, right? Your body language reflects your emotions, and you can't reverse it. You can take, well, you can. It can take a lot of practice to do it, because it's just like if you tear a piece of paper one way, it tears smoothly. If you tear it the other way, like the other direction, and you turn it around and you tear it, it will tear all rough, right? Why is that? Because you're going against the grain. And this is exactly what you do when you're going with your body language. You're going against the grain of nature, and you naturally fall into certain body language, and you express a certain body language, right? With certain emotions and feelings and so forth. And that's the impact that your emotions have. What other impacts does your body have, or do your emotions have, right? So with happiness, we have that, we offload, right? In a healthy way, we let go of our happiness, because there's only so long you can stay in that happiness, euphoric state with dopamine really high and so forth, right? But what about in the state of sadness? We allow that sadness to consume us longer than necessary. We stay in that despair for days on end, sometimes weeks, months, or years, right? You stay in that state of, he did this, she did this, it was my parents, it was my children, it was my boss, it was my partner, my husband, my wife, my XYZ, or etc., etc. And you stay in that state. How many of you are staying in a state where you are unhappy, right? Staying in a state where you might seem that you're just not content, you're not happy, you're miserable, or you're stressed, or you're almost always got, some sort of anxiety or depression, right? Which we'll discuss in another show, right? But you've always got those emotions and they're always holding on to you. And you feel that there's no escape and you're always feeling down, right? And even when your friends, your family, your work colleagues talk to you and they're, you hardly say any words, or you don't always talk about it, right? And or on the surface, you are very jolly and bubbly and so forth. But actually, in fact, on the inside, you are full of pain and despair and so forth. What is the benefit in holding on to that? Ask yourself, how many of you that are listening to this right now, whether you're listening to it live or as a replay, or you know someone, either yourself or you know someone else who's holding on to those negative emotions? And we have 5 major negative emotions, right? 5 major negative emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. 5 major negative emotions that we all experience before the age of about 7. If you've got children who are around that age, even a little bit older, you will see it in your children, or niece or nephews and so forth, right? Or if you're in your friends or relatives' children or so forth. We all have some children around us, be they our own kids, our niece or nephews, or our relatives, family, friends, or whoever, right? Or you're walking down the street and you still see a child down in the supermarket or wherever. And so we've all come in contact with children at some point, right? And you can see, and now if you look, every child, every individual, even an adult, experiences anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. 5 major negative emotions. They're not the only negative emotions, but there are 5 major negative emotions that everyone experiences before the age of 7, and you hold on to them. And as you get through life, you hold on to that, and that now becomes your emotional baggage. We've all heard that term before, right? Emotional baggage. That now becomes your emotional baggage that you carry around. Imagine carrying around a 20 kg bag on your back of onions, another 20 kg of rice, another 20 kg of flour, another 20 kg of potatoes, another 20 kg of sugar and vegetables and water, maybe a few crepes of water or even more. How far are you going to get? Not even 1 inch, right? For the average person. And if you're a world strongman or on that level, you might move around for a little while, but eventually you're going to give in, right? Because everyone has a limit. And the average person, that's well over 100 kg. And just as an example, right? You're carrying around all of that around you. You're not even going to move more an inch, right? Let alone carrying around with you the whole day. But yet we carry around our emotions, that emotional baggage for years, not weeks, not months, not days, not hours, but years. Many of you out there are carrying these emotions since childhood for many, many years. And what is that doing for you? What is the impact that it's having on you? Right? So if anyone has any questions around emotions, emotional baggage, please text them through 077 614 60614. So you're carrying around those emotions, that emotional baggage, all of those baggage on your back, right? And then what is it doing to you? How is it impacting you? It's impacting you because when you have those negative emotions, they'll come, and the odd one, it will come and it will go. It will come and it will go. But when you hold on to that baggage, right, then it will come, go, come, go. But it will, as it comes, although it goes, so you think, it still latches on. It's actually latching onto you, and it's holding on. And what is it doing? It is building up inside your body, right? That negative energy, because as human beings, we're made up of energy. Anything and everything that you can see or touch, right, is made up of particles. Everything, your chair, your laptop, your phone, your clothes, your house, your shoes, your socks, your biryani, right? It's all made up of vibrating particles under the microscope. And in the same way, human beings, we are made up of energy as well. And your emotions are negative energy that get stored and trapped within the body over time when they build up, right? So what do I mean over time? For example, all of a sudden, randomly, right? Like I'll share a story with you on this exactly to illustrate. Many, many years ago, I used to work in a job that I didn't like, right? And it was just office work that I was working in. And I never liked it. This is many, many years ago. I never liked it because it wasn't progressive. I didn't know how to go forward, right? That's many years ago, right? Like after university or something. And I didn't know how to go forward, but I wanted a way out. But I didn't know what that way out looked like. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to speak to. And I was maybe too scared to speak to anyone. I was maybe too shy or too ashamed or too guilty. And I thought I should keep it together. And as a guy, as a man, I need to have the answers, right? How many of you know someone in that situation? As a man or a woman or anyone in that situation, any adult, and it's okay for even men to feel scared, right? And I felt scared and I didn't know what to do, but I wanted to be out there, but I couldn't because I didn't know how to get out there and I didn't know what move to make. I didn't know how to go forward, right? I didn't know where I'm going to go forward, right? So then I was stuck. I was stuck because I couldn't get out and I was stuck because I didn't want to stay in, right? And I was stuck. And one day in the middle of the week, like a Wednesday, in a nice summer day, right? The weather was good and it wasn't, I called in sick because I genuinely, when I woke up, I was so bed stricken. I have no health issues, alhamdulillah, apart from mild asthma, but I didn't have any kind of health issues. Nothing coming up, no fever, no temperature, no nothing. And all of a sudden, on Wednesday morning, I phoned, I wasn't feeling too good, but I still got ready. I thought, I still go to work. Maybe I feel better. But as I was getting ready to leave, I was very, very unwell, right? And it got worse and worse. And literally the whole day, it wasn't a case of on the site in the summer, nice summer day, just phoning sick and I want to just take the day off or go out, whatever, or something, right? I genuinely was sick and I was bed stricken for the whole day. The whole entire day, I couldn't move, right? And I had a high temperature. And then I was off the next day as well, right? And I didn't know what happened, where did that came from, why that happened. And then I went back to work. I think I went back to work Friday and so forth, right? Didn't know where it came from, right? And it's only later, when many years later, when I went into this area of coaching and I looked and I studied mindset, that I understood how emotions work, that these emotions, it was a warning sign. It was telling me that what I'm doing, the job that I'm doing, or the life that I'm leading right now is not beneficial for me. It doesn't benefit me. It doesn't suit any my purpose, right? It's not good for me, right? So it's your body giving you warning signs. But at that time, I ignored it. But later, after some time, then I moved on from that work. And after then, that was many years ago. Alhamdulillah, I've never had anything as such, right? But your body throws warning signs at you, and it will constantly throw warning signs at you, looking at and telling you that what you're doing, you need to stop, right? You need to stop what you're doing, because whatever you're doing is not good for you. It is not beneficial for you, right? So we go through life, and you probably know people, family, friends, relatives, or someone at work, or even yourself. You go through life, and as you get through life, you're busy in work, you're busy in family, etc., and you don't have time for your health. And you say, "Oh, I've put on weight, and now I've got diabetes, or now I've got cholesterol, and now I've got this, and now I've got that, and so forth." Or all of a sudden, someone has a heart attack. Maybe it's work-related stress or something, whatever, and so forth. And then later, some years later, they have something else, and then some years later, they have something else. Eventually, one time they go, right? And but what we don't realize is that these are warning signs from your body, from your mind, giving you those warning signs that what you are doing is not beneficial for you. You need to stop that. It's some kind of stress. It's some kind of discomfort. It's some kind of unsatisfaction that you're constantly engaged in, and it's not good for you, because you're constantly engaged in negative emotion, and those negative emotions get stored in your body, and they stay in your body. Because if they stay there for too long, they stay in your body. But they don't just stay in your body, right? They then tend to manifest, and there's a lot of research done on this. They then tend to manifest and develop and grow and progress and form or transform into health issues, physical health issues, inflammation, diabetes, cholesterol, cancer, heart patient, thyroid, any chronic pains, right? And the list goes on. The list is endless, right? And you might be surprised to think, well, how on earth can it result in cancer or diabetes or cholesterol or thyroid or whatever? And these are all health issues that we all have in our communities, or we all know someone, either yourself who's listening right now, or someone you know in your family or in your circle or in your network, right, who has one of these illnesses or more: diabetes, cholesterol, heart patient, thyroid, cancer, inflammation, chronic pains, right? The list is endless. The list is endless, right? 95% of health issues are caused from this emotional baggage that we hold on to, right? And for a lot of people, you're probably hearing this for the first time, and it may come as a surprise or even as a shock, right? And we think, and we're happy, and we openly talk about, oh, I've not worked out, or I've stopped working out now, and now I've put on weight, and now I'm a bit overweight. And then later, as time passes, oh, now I've got diabetes, now I've got cholesterol, or now I've got this, or I had a heart attack because of my diet, or so forth, right? But you don't want to change the diet, because when you're trying to change the diet, we don't want to do that, right? And we keep going back to the same habits, but that's just the fruits, right? Or the produce of that plant, of those seeds. The seeds of what's causing those health issues and those side effects and those symptoms is what? The emotional baggage that you have, right? The emotional baggage that you have. I mean, I've worked with many, many clients who've had this, right? Many, many clients have had various health issues, and it's because of the emotional package that they are storing, right? And they have confirmed it time and time again. And this isn't just something hearsay or, a quick search online. There's a lot of research being done on this, and there's more and more research that comes out on this, right? Look at epigenetics, look at German medicine, right? There's books being written on this. And it tells us that our emotions and our body is one. There are two aspects of our body, but they are one, right? Because we're happy to tell about the physical health issues that we have this, we have that, etc., right? But no one wants to discuss, or is too ashamed or sees it as a taboo to discuss the mental aspect, right? The emotional baggage that we have, the stress at work, the issues in your relationship you have, the financial troubles you have, right? No one wants to impact or say that, yes, you've got the financial troubles. Yes, it's resulting in other negative behavior or health issues. But no one wants to put them together and bind them together. It's like two bricks of a house, right? Or two walls. No one wants to put them together, and the plaster between them, the cement between them that will hold them together is the emotions. The emotions, for example, to financial struggle, plasters it together, and then it plasters the other side together. So the plaster, and now the other side, which is the negative habits or the health issues and so forth, or the relationship issues, or the work stress, right? And it's leading to the physical health issues, and they're both plastered together with your emotional package that you're storing, and you've been storing for many, many, many years, right? Many years. My dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, it is okay to feel sad. It is okay to feel angry. It is okay to feel those 5 major negative emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. It is every time. It is okay to feel them, right? At no point are you going to stop feeling them. That, now from this point onwards in my life, I will never be angry or sad or fear or hurt or guilt, right? That's not what's happening here. It doesn't mean that you'll forget everything else. What it means is that you offload, right? And there are ways and there are techniques and there are strategies to offload, powerful strategies that can offload within a few sessions, right? And this is what I do in the work with my clients. Because we need to understand our emotions. We need to understand that you don't just all of a sudden get diabetes or cholesterol or heart patient or cancer or thyroid or inflammation. You don't just get that, right? It's not like you're going to get your hair done and, oh, I got my hair done today, I got it styled like this, or I got it dyed or whatever. I got it done today and it just happened today. Yes, when you go to get your hair done, right, or your hair cut or trimmed or dyed or whatever you get done, for the men and women, brothers and sisters out there, whatever you get done to your hair, you get it done from that day. And yes, you get it done, right? But your health issues, you don't just get all of a sudden from that day, right? Or it's not like going to the supermarket or to the high street shops or designer store and getting that. Hey, look what I got today. I got diabetes today. Awesome. Cool. Hey, I got high cholesterol. Hey, I've got thyroid. I've got this. I've got that. Brilliant. No, you don't just get it all of a sudden. It builds up over time. And it builds up over enough time for you to see the warnings, if you choose to see them, if you have the awareness to see them. So either yourself or someone you know needs to hear this today. So please, please do share this with someone. Please, please, if you've only just tuned in or listened to the end, we're discussing and coming to almost the end of the show of how emotions, what are emotions and how they impact, right? Because ironically, we hold on to the negative emotions, but we let go of the the positive emotions. If we were holding on to the positive emotions longer, the negative emotions would disperse and you would be so much more happy and content. So look at people who are happy, who are content, who are ever so grateful, right? And look at them. What do they do? What is the difference? Even in hardships, even in adversity, even in difficulties, even in at times of bereavement or loss, or any kind of loss in their health, in their finance, or anything, they are content. They are grateful. Because when you are content, when you are grateful, then it allows you to focus on more of the things that you have rather than what you don't have. And you focus more on what is right rather than focusing on what is wrong, right? And you focus on what is good rather than focusing on what is bad. You focus on what is positive rather than what is negative, right? And that's the difference. That's the difference, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, right? What you choose to focus on becomes your reality. The thoughts, we have hundreds and thousands, not even hundreds, thousands upon thousands of thoughts a day. And the thoughts that you choose to focus on become your reality. So in the morning when you're waking up for Sari, you will be tired, have your alarm on snooze, but then you choose to focus on that and then you get up because there's a certain cutoff point that you have to get up for, that you must, there's after that it'll be absolutely too late to eat something or have a small meal, right? Or for prayer time, it's going to be absolutely late. So we make choices along the way on anything and everything that we do, right? And when we make those choices, we look at what is a positive intent behind them. And behind everything that we do, even if it's good, bad, ugly, there is a positive intention behind everything. And that's for another show, right? But it comes to this, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, that the thought we choose to focus on and we feed into that, and we nurture that seed, and we plant that seed, and we grow that seed, right? Becomes our reality, because then we start feeding into it more and we start feeling the emotion, and we start feeding into it more and we get the feelings, and we start feeding into it even more and we follow through with action or what we say, right? So the more you feed into it, the more it becomes your reality. And the more over time, over the years, you feed into that negative dialogue of who did what, it was, and everything, and you start playing it over and over again, like a movie in your head, in your mind, as if you're watching a movie. And you keep playing over those scenes again and again of that negativity. It becomes your reality. It becomes your reality, right? And with that reality, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers, we choose most of the time to hold on to pain rather than pleasure. It's either towards pain, is our motivation, which we will again discuss in another show in more detail, inshallah, is either we are geared more towards pain or to pleasure, or rather we are more towards pleasure or away from pain. But a lot of the time, we will stay in that state of pain, in that state of negativity, because we keep telling ourselves that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, right? That we can't get out of this, and we feel so bad that it's really wrong. It's really not right of what he said to me, what she said to me, what he did to me, what they did to me, or what they said or what they did. That's really, really wrong, right? And it's not fair that they did that. And if I was in that situation, or I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that in that situation. Excuse me. I wish I had done this or that in that situation. I wish I had responded. Or why did they have to do this? Why did they have to do that? We keep playing it over and over again in different scenarios. So we are now the director of that movie, and we keep playing it over and over again. right? Over and over again, we keep playing it, and from different perspectives, we play that movie. And the more we play that movie, the more we get sunk in to our negative emotions. And the more we get sunk into our negative emotions, the more over time we are likely to be impacted by any such major physical health issue, right? Even skin issues are related to such emotional baggage, right? You will be surprised. Google it. The impact of emotions on your body, right? The impact of emotions and how they impact. Very, very powerful, right? So in this program, this show, it doesn't give us enough time, but it gives you a brief insight and a brief awareness of how emotions impact the body, right? And you can choose. So now it allows you and it reminds you that you have a choice. You have a choice of how you respond, and how you choose to respond is what will result in your later outcome, right? So if you choose to respond in a good way, then you will get that benefit. And if you choose to respond in a negative way and hold on to that emotion, then over time it will come back. Don't think it has gone. Don't think that argument that you had, or that you keep having the argument or the anger issue that you have over a certain thing with a certain relative or friend or a work colleague, it's gone. It isn't gone, right? Just because you don't discuss it every day, it is still there in the back, right? It's just like if you're driving along somewhere, you're going somewhere on holiday, and then you've got a whole load of rubbish with you, right? Say you've been eating on the way and you've got a bag of rubbish, and that rubbish builds up and gets bigger and bigger. That rubbish hasn't gone, because as you're driving along the way, that rubbish is still there until you offload it, right? And if you don't offload that rubbish, it's going to start to smell. It's going to start to attract flies, even in your car. It's going to cause you to, and so forth, right? And it could even affect your driving with the terrible smell of the food. If it's like, for example, fruit peelings or whatever, or something, or what have you, right? And as a result, if you don't let go of that, if you don't offload that, it's going to come back. As they say, you can run, but you can't hide. Thank you so much, my dear listeners, my dear sisters and brothers of other mothers. You have been listening to the Mindset Show with your host, coach, and trainer of NLP and hypnosis, Mubashar Latif, on Ramadan Radio 87.9 FM. Thank you so much for listening, and inshallah, we have the next show coming on soon, so do tune in. And so forth, and keep your comments coming, and inshallah we will see you again next time. Jazakallah.